Welcome back, Scouts, for Activity 19. Bike safety, bike, car, and skateboard repair. Hemp Hill, Camino Real, Blanco Vista Elementary, and all others are welcome.
For more fun activities at home, visit our YouTube channel, Sacred Springs Scout Reach. Please join me in the Scout Oath. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Please join me in the Scout law. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. A Scout is cheerful. A Scout looks for the bright side of life. He cheerfully does tasks that come his way. He tries to make others happy. A Scout is cheerful.
Show the Cub Scout sign. Tell what it means. Make the sign with your right hand. Hold your arm straight up. The two raised fingers stand for the Scout Oath and the Scout Law. The fingers look like the sharp ears of the wolf, ready to listen to a Kela. Remember that a Kela means good leader to a Cub Scout. Your mother or father or guardian is a Kela. So is your Cub Master or your den leader. At school, your teacher is a Kela.
Say the Cub Scout motto. Tell what it means. The Cub Scout motto is do your best. A motto is a guiding principle and a rule for living. Do your best means trying your hardest, not just a little bit. Do your best all the time. Do your best in school and at home. Do your best when you play a game and help your team. Do your best as you work on your rank adventures.
To earn your Tiger Scouts Rolling Tigers Adventure Belt Loop, you have to complete 5 requirements. You must do numbers 1, 2, and 3, which we will go over in this video. You must complete 2 others that are your choice. Number 1, with your parent or guardian or other caring adult, try on safety gear you should use while riding a bike. Show how to wear a bicycle helmet properly. With your parent or guardian or other caring adult, learn and demonstrate safety tips to follow when riding a bicycle. The BSA bike safety guidelines include that all cyclists must wear a properly sized and fitted helmet. You must ride with traffic and watch out for hazards. Bikes must be appropriately sized and adjusted for the rider. Your bike should also have a bell or horn and reflectors so you can be seen at nighttime. And number 3 is learning and demonstrating proper hand signals. If you want to slow down or stop, point your arm out downwards. If you want to make a left turn, put your left arm out to the side. If you're going to make a right turn, bend your arm at the elbow like this. To earn your belt loop, you have to do at least 2 of the following requirements. Do a safety check on a bicycle. Make sure the tires are inflated properly and that the seat is sized just for you. With your family, go on a bicycle ride, wearing your safety equipment. make sure to follow safety and traffic laws. With your parents or guardian or other caring adult, you could discuss 2 different types of bikes and their uses. Or you could learn about a famous bicycle race or a famous cyclist. Or you could identify 2 jobs that use bicycles and discuss how they are used. And that's it. Once you've done all of these things, be sure your parents mark it complete in Scout Book, and the next time we get together, you will have earned a new adventure loop.
Requirement 4J. Make a repair to a bicycle, such as adjusting or lubricating the chain, inflating the tires, fixing a flat, or adjusting the seat or handlebars. A bicycle is a lot simpler to maintain than a car, but it is a machine too, so it needs to be taken care of just as a car does. Adjusting a bike chain. If the chain needs tightening, turn the bicycle upside down, loosen the 2 axle nuts on the rear wheel with a wrench. A combination or socket wrench is best so that you won't wear down the nuts over time. If the bicycle has a coaster brake, loosen the brake arm mounting nuts too. Now pull the wheel back until the chain has about a 1/2 inch of play in its center. Tighten the axle nut on the chain side. Make sure that the wheel is centered between the chain stays. Then tighten the other axle nut and the coaster brake arm mounting nuts. Lubricating a bicycle chain. Oil prevents rust and helps to keep a bicycle running smoothly. To lubricate the chain, turn the bicycle upside down while using the pedals to make the crank turn. Drip lightweight oil on the chain. The oil will spread over the chain as you turn the crank. When all the links of the chain have a light coating of oil, wipe any extra oil from the chain and sprocket with a clean rag. Inflating the tires. A bicycle's tires should be kept at the correct pressure. The pressure may be stamped on the side of the tire. If it isn't, check the owner's manual. Use a bicycle tire gauge to check the pressure. Use a hand pump to add as much air as you need. Some bicycle pumps have a tire gauge built in. Be sure the pump you use is designed for the valves you have. Some bicycle tires use the same Schrader valves as car tires. Others use Presta valves. Presta valves have a small nut at the end that locks the valve. Be sure to loosen this nut before inflating. Tires with a Presta valves require higher pressure than a car tire gauge can read, so you will need a tire gauge designed for bikes.
The seat and handlebars. To adjust the seat or handlebars of your bike, all you need is the right wrench. For some bikes, you'll need a combination wrench. For others, you'll need an Allen wrench. To change the height of the seat, loosen the bolt that keeps the seat post tight in the frame, and then raise or lower the seat post to the height you need. Make sure that the seat post goes at least 2 inches into the frame. You can also raise and lower the handlebars on your bike and rotate them to make the handlebars easier to reach. Look at your bike and find the bolts that control these adjustments. Loosen the bolts to make the adjustments. As with the seat post, make sure the handlebar stem goes at least 2 inches into the frame. How do you know the seat and handlebars are in the right position? When you stand on a pedal, that leg should be slightly bent. When you hold the handlebars, your elbows should be slightly bent, and your shoulders should be relaxed. Wearing proper gear protects you. Be safe.
Why wear a helmet? Helmets can reduce the risk of severe brain injuries by 88%. Use the eyes, ears, and mouth test. Eyes check. Position the helmet on your head. Look up and you should see the bottom rim of the helmet. The rim should be 1 to 2 finger widths above the eyebrows. Mouth check. Open your mouth as wide as you can. Do you feel the helmet hug your head? If not, tighten those straps and make sure the buckle is flat against your skin. Ears check. Make sure the straps of the helmet form a V under your ears when buckled. The straps should be snug but comfortable. Use appropriate helmets for different activities. Children should always wear a helmet for all wheeled sport activities. When skateboarding and longboarding, make sure your child wears a skateboarding helmet. Kids safety tips. Keep an eye out. Actively supervise children until you're comfortable that they are responsible to ride on their own. It can be hard for kids to judge speed and distance of cars until age 10. Limit riding to sidewalks and be careful for vehicles in driveways, parks, or bike paths. Children should be able to demonstrate riding competence and knowledge of the rules of the road before cycling with traffic. Model and teach good behavior. Kids learn from watching you, so it's extra important for parents to model proper behavior. Wear a helmet, even if you didn't when you were a kid. For more information on bicycle safety, visit the NHTSA website at www.nhtsa.gov/bicycles or www.safekids.org.
Hi, my name is Christopher Dans, and I'm a technical representative here at Performance Bicycle. Welcome to Performance's How-To video series. In this video, we're going to cover the simplest but also the most important repair that you can do on your bicycle, and that is how to fix a flat tire. To fix a flat tire, you need three things. First is a set of tire levers. They usually come in sets of 3. The second is a spare tube or a patch kit. And the third is a pump. First step in fixing a flat tire is removing the wheel from the frame. If you're working with the rear wheel, it's a good idea to shift the chain down into the smallest gear. Then open the quick release on your brake, open the quick release on the wheel, and out it should come. Oftentimes you have to move it over out of the way of the chain to get it clear. Now the easiest place to start removing the tire from the rim is at the opposite end from the valve stem. Start by taking the first tire lever and hooking it under the bead of the rim, moving it to the outside of the rim. Most tire levers will have a little hook on the backside so you can hook it around a spoke to keep it in place. Then take your second and, if necessary, third tire levers and insert them under the beads of the rim a little bit farther down to expose a greater portion. Once you have a little bit started, you can slide it around, releasing the rest of the bead. And then out comes your tube. Once you have the flat tube out, you can put a little air in it to try to figure out what caused the flat. With a little air, you can look, listen, and feel to try to find any air escaping from the tube. Once you find out where the hole or puncture is, you can line the valve stem up with the valve hole and sort of hold the tube against the tire so you can get a general idea of about where the flat happened. Then feel around on the inside of the tire for any sharp protrusions or anything that might have caused the flat, as well as checking the rim strip to make sure that it's centered and that it properly covers the spoke nipple holes. With that done, you take your new tube and, starting with the valve, tuck it up into the tire. With that done, you can start tucking the tire back into the rim. And then you're ready to start reinflating the tire. Now, it's a good idea when you start reinflating your tire after the first couple pumps to stop and give it a quick spin and check for any bulges or other sort of protrusions. Should you find any, deflate the tire once and retuck in that section. Once you can spin it and not see any bulges, go ahead and re-inflate it back to the recommended inflation pressure, which can be found and printed on the sidewall of the tire. Once it's properly reinflated, you can insert it back in your frame. You can start by lining the chain up with that smallest cog. Pull the wheel up into the frame. Close the quick release on the hub. Don't forget to close the quick release on your brake. Give the wheel a spin and make sure that everything's properly aligned, and away you go. And remember, if you have any other questions, your performance technical representatives are only a phone call away.
Requirement 4K. Replace the wheels on a skateboard, a scooter, or a pair of inline skates. Sometimes the wheels or trucks on skateboards, scooters, or skates need to be replaced. It can also be fun to customize your skates or board with new wheels. You should be able to replace them with compatible wheels and basic tools. Be sure to get help from an expert at your local skate shop or a knowledgeable adult. Your skateboard and skates will be safer and more fun when everything is in working order.
My name's Aaron Cairo, and I'm a professional skateboarder from the San Francisco Bay Area. I've been skateboarding for over 20 years and teaching people how to ride their boards for a very, very long time. Today I'm going to give you a breakdown of how to skateboard for beginners. Now keep in mind, this is a beginner's tutorial, so we're going to start out with the most basic basics. It's figuring out which foot you're going to put forward. This is one of the most important and sometimes the most confused things for a beginner skateboarder. You're either going to have your left foot forward like that or your right foot forward like that. Usually what I tell kids is, if you're going to run and slide on a sheet of ice or run and slide on something slippery, which foot would you put forward? It's very important to figure that out early on because you can get confused with having the wrong foot forward and then just having a lot of troubles learning how to push. So spend enough time to sort that out properly. Once you do sort that out, we're going to get into learning how to push. Learning how to push on a skateboard is very similar to walking. So that's why I tell kids, just walk up to your board, put the front foot forward, and step onto the board and give it a push. It's interesting in that when you do push on a skateboard, your front foot is straight. Your front foot is straight on the board just like when you're walking. But when you're actually riding on a board, your front foot goes sideways. So you have to put in some practice transitioning your front foot from being straight on the board to being sideways on the board. Because when you're doing the push, your front is going to go straight like that, and then you're going to step on the board with your back foot and then transition your foot straight so you can ride. All of your tricks are going to be done with your foot like that in the riding position. Only the push is where your front foot goes forward like that, so you can step off with your back foot and push. Now the proper way to push on a skateboard is with your back foot. The other way is just not so proper, it doesn't feel as comfortable, and you'll end up struggling to learn to push with your back foot later on. So it's very important that you just learn it the correct way the first time. So figure out which foot you're going to put forward and then practice pushing with your back foot. No matter how awkward that feels at first, you just have to get used to doing it. And then the more and more and more and more you do it, you'll just get used to it and it'll become second nature. Once you do learn how to push on a skateboard, it's very, very, very important that you just let yourself ride around that board a lot. A lot of times I feel like people get too eager when they're very first starting out to the skateboard and they just want to go straight into learning how to kickflip. But it's very important to take it back to the basic basics and just learn to ride around a ton. After you're really comfortable just riding straight on your board, we're going to learn how to do some turns. This is called a kick turn right here. There are two basic ways to turn on your skateboard. One is called a kick turn where you lift the front wheels off the ground, and the other is a carving turn where you actually lean into the board and turn from side to side. In order to do the carving turn, you're going to need your trucks a little bit looser so you have some bend in them. That is the most fun way to turn if you ask me. Just lean to the side and let it turn. For the kick turn, you have to apply some pressure to your back foot and lift your front trucks up and then turn. That's also very important to learn just so you can get both of those down. And you got to remember, these are the basics, so it's very, very important that you spend a really good amount of time just learning how to turn, getting very, very comfortable with your board, just pushing around. When I was a kid, we used to just get on our skateboards and just ride down the street. We would ride the skateboard everywhere, ride it to school, ride it to your friend's house, ride it to the store. No matter what we were doing, we seemed to just always have our skateboards. So again, I just want to make it very, very clear and very important that the more time you spend on your skateboard, the more comfortable you're going to get with it. And really anything you can do to get more comfortable with your skateboard, even if it's just having it with you all the time, carrying it, then put it down and do a couple pushes and roll around, anything that you do like that's going to make you a better skateboarder in the end. You can even do some very, very, very beginner, like silly tricks like this. Put your board laying grip tape side down with your front foot underneath it. You just have your toe right underneath that board, and then you just lift up with your toe, jump onto the board, and then give it a push. Just a very, very simple basic trick that pretty much anyone can learn right away. Once you get into doing harder tricks, you're going to start out in a very exact sequence. It's going to be ollie, front side 180, back side 180, pop shove, front shove, heel flip, and then you're going to end off that with the kick flip. These are all of the tricks that are gone over in Skateboarding Made Simple Volume 1, which is the video for beginners to get. It's available as a digital download. It's available on iTunes and Google Play. It takes you through the most detailed how to push tutorial I've ever made, which does include turning, both kinds of turns, and then it takes you up through all of those tricks. Ollie, frontside 180, backside 180, pop shove, front shove, heel flip, and kick flip. So get the video, learn to skate, and have an awesome time skating for the rest of your life. Hey guys, so I get a lot of questions about should I have my trucks loose or should I have them tight, or are your trucks loose or are they tight? What's better to learn with? So I wanted to make a little video just to kind of go over the pros and cons of tight trucks and loose trucks. So first off, I'm going to tighten up my trucks. As you can see here, I'm tightening both of them up pretty tight, just about as tight as I could get them. Well, not quite that tight, but you'll get the point. Then put down my board and I start rolling. Now the first thing about tight trucks is that you can't just lean on them. In order to turn, you have to lift up the front of your board. As you can see, I'm kind of tic-tacking. I'm lifting up the front in order to turn. It's called a kick turn, so that's fine. A lot of beginners feel like they need to have their trucks really tight because it feels more stable and the board goes more straight rather than moving, and they feel like it helps their balance out. However, I think it's better to learn with looser trucks to loosen your trucks up a bit because it gives you more room to move. It actually is easier on the balance. You can see I almost fell over right there. I have a very hard time riding tight trucks, and it makes it very hard. It makes my style look really bad. It looks like I don't know what I'm doing. So I like to loosen them up. So here we go. So I'm going to loosen up the trucks. How loose you want to make them is really up to you, and obviously it's a personal preference, and it's also going to depend on how much you weigh. Like I probably weigh a lot more than a lot of you guys, so when you're standing on the board, how much weight is it going to take for you to move the truck to the side to give you that little bit of turning? Now here's another shot. You can see how quickly and easily I can move my board from side to side. I just put pressure on one side a little bit and I move. If I am going to hit a crack or a rock, I can move right around it. This helps me out a lot. It helps me to land tricks smoothly, it helps me to not fall off the board, and I feel much more comfortable with very loose trucks. Especially for all those manual tricks, because when you're on two wheels and you're doing a manual and you need to adjust, your trucks need to go with you. They need to go with the way that your body is moving so your board will turn. Sometimes I get comments on my videos like, wow, your trucks must be super tight to do all those manual tricks. But it's actually the opposite. The trucks are loose because it allows me more freedom to move side to side. And I'll show you this shot here so I can show you the difference in the turning and how quickly I can turn by just leaning to one side. In the other shot, I had to do a kick turn by lifting up my front truck and I literally almost fell over. So there you go. Obviously, whether you're going to have your trucks tight or loose is a personal preference, but I personally recommend starting with your trucks loose enough to where you have the freedom to be able to move side to side. And just like in this video, I'm riding around a lot. Before you guys start on any tricks, I want you riding around a lot. You should be able to move your board just like I'm moving it in this video. And it's going to make it so much more comfortable when you try to learn how to ollie, pop shove it, 180, shove it, kick flip, 360 flip, or whatever. Leave me a comment with what you think about loose and tight trucks, and please favorite, like, and share these videos.
Requirement 4F. Wash a car. Washing a car protects the car's finish and helps the car look nicer. It's also a great way for you to cool off on a hot day. Before you get started, gather the materials. Detergent designed for washing cars, a bucket, a soft sponge for scrubbing, rags for drying, and a hose with an automatic shutoff valve so you won't waste water. Make sure you're not wearing anything that could scratch the car's paint, like a belt buckle or wristwatch. And close the car windows. Make up some soapy water in a bucket. Rinse the car with plain water to remove loose dirt. Start washing the top of the car and work down so the suds and dirty water won't streak areas you have already washed. Do a small area, about 3 feet square, at a time, then rinse by spraying. You can let the car drip dry, but wiping it dry with a clean rag prevents water spots. Once you're finished, clean the windows inside and out with window cleaner. My mom used to pay each time she got her car washed. Now, every time I wash the car, she puts money in my summer camp fund. I'm planning to pay my way to camp next summer. Requirement 4G. Check the oil level and tire pressure in a car. Oil allows the parts of a car's engine to move easily. It also carries away little bits of metal and other impurities that can damage the engine. That's why it's important to have enough oil in the engine at all times. Checking the oil level is easy. When the engine is cool, have an adult open the hood and insert the prop rod, if there is one, to hold the hood up. The adult can also help you find the oil dipstick, the metal rod you use to check the oil. Remove the oil dipstick and wipe it clean. Then put it back in and pull it out again. Look at the markings near the tip. If the oil level is below the add or min line, the car needs oil. Put the dipstick back in and have an adult add some oil to the crankcase. It's also important to have the right amount of air in a car's tires, including the spare tire in the trunk. That amount, measured in pounds per square inch, PSI, is shown on each tire's sidewall and in the owner's manual. Having the right amount of air makes the tires last longer and saves on fuel cost. You will need a tire gauge to check tire pressure. When the tires are cool, take the cap off of a tire's valve stem. Push the tire gauge hard against the valve. The gauge will show the tire's pressure. If the tire needs more air, tell the car's owner.
I'm Alan Stanley for Howdini.com, and in this segment we'll be talking about changing a flat tire. Certainly it's inconvenient, but we're going to walk you through it step by step. Lift up this cover to access the spare tire. We'll unloosen it with the hold down, then give it a couple good wraps. Make sure it's full of air. Worst thing you'd want to do is put on a flat spare. Then you'll remove the tire. Careful, this can be quite heavy. Well, we have our spare tire in our jack. We've set our reflective warning signal out. We've also chalked the wheel on the opposite side of the flat tire, so we're ready to start changing it. The first thing we'll do is jack the vehicle up. You'll have to loosen the jack a little bit in order to get the handle off. This particular model has the lug wrench built right in. Before we jack though, we'd want to loosen the lug nuts, because once it's jacked up, it's going to be very difficult to get those lug nuts off. This particular model has a hubcap, which will just loosen those up. Doesn't take much because they're made out of plastic. Set the hubcap out of the way. Now you have access to the lug nuts. Loosen the lug nuts. Position yourself firmly, pressing counterclockwise. Loosen the lug nuts. Not too loose, just enough to crack them. If it's a little stubborn, position yourself over. Using your knee or your foot, you can gain leverage. Now we're ready to jack it up. This is the common scissors jack. The screw moves in and out, allowing the mechanism to move up and down and lift your car. So as you turn it to the right, it'll go up. As you loosen it, the jack will collapse, allowing the car to come down. Now we'll position the jack. You want to be sure to get the jack on a good part of the frame. your owner's manual is a good place to find where to properly jack the vehicle. You can raise it up by hand until it contacts the frame and is in good position. We'll use the jack handle to raise the vehicle. Insert the end of the jack handle into the jack. Using it as leverage, it'll help make the car go up easier. Remember to turn it clockwise to go up and counterclockwise to go down. Carefully jack the car up. Never stick your hands or your legs under the vehicle, as the car can fall and cause damage. Jacking can take a while, so be patient and cautious as you jack. Okay, now that the car is jacked up, now we'll take the lug nuts loose. Remember, we already pre-loosened them when the car was on the ground, making it easy. As you notice, they'll come right off now. Trying to do that while the car was jacked up would be very difficult. Remember to keep your lug nuts in close hand. You don't want them rolling away in the grass because they'll be hard to find, and that's what holds your tire on. Again, we're turning them counterclockwise to get them loose, or to the left. We'll remove the flat tire, set it over here out of the way. Now if there was heavy traffic area, you wouldn't want to leave it in the street. You might want to put it to the rear of the car. Grab the spare tire, put it in position. You're going to center the spare tire on the wheel studs. That's where the lug nuts go. So go ahead and do that. Lining it up. You see it lines up pretty easy. Then install your lug nuts. Again, clockwise is tight, counterclockwise is loose. So we'll tighten them up by hand as far as they'll go. Once the tire is centered, lug nuts are hand tight, take the lug wrench. Again, turning it clockwise, tighten the lugs till they're firm. Not too tight, because remember, your car is up on a jack. We wouldn't want it falling off with too much leverage or force. Insert the jack handle back into the jack. Turning it counterclockwise again, we're going to lower the vehicle. Again, this will take some time, but going down is a lot easier than going up. If it seems to be going down easy, you can just do it like this by doing it straight instead of having it angled. But if it's too tough, you can angle it and get the leverage that you'll need to lower the jack, or to raise the jack. Turn the jack low enough, you can do it by hand now that it doesn't have contact with the frame, and we can remove it. Now that the tire's on the ground, we'll go ahead and give them that final tight. And we're going to start down here, then move to the top one, then back down, over, and back again. A little star pattern, making sure we have equal torque on the wheel studs. Okay, well, we have our spare tire on, it's aired up, we're ready to go. A couple things to remember though is you want to put everything back in the trunk. You don't want to exceed highway speed on this temporary spare. Make sure you get the big tire fixed and it'll get you back on the road as soon as possible. I'm Alan Stanley for Howdini.com.
Join us next time for Activity 20, Boat and Swim Safety. If you are interested in joining